Multichoice is sure about incredible, world-renowned content.
Afuni entertainment.
And that working with the right partners is absolutely paramount to making incredible content. Like border-shattering films.
Je kookje opstaan. Dan vlieg je hier weg.
Life-affirming series.
I've got so much to tell you.
This is a man your fault.
Heart-tugging telenovelas. And reality like no other. We invite you to partner with us on this incredible journey.
Saam is daar harmonie.
As we strive to be Africa's most loved storyteller.
Hi everyone, I am Kayan Williams and I look after the local productions and films for the Mnet channels. And I can see that we have producers from Cape Town, Durban and right here in Johannesburg joining us. We also have some of our distribution and funding partners, the IPO, the PMA. Welcome to all of you, our colleagues, collaborators and industry specialists. It's been a while since we've seen you and we miss you. So we are so happy that you've joined our local content webinar, which we are calling The Game Changer. So we have plenty to get through today and we will be discussing the way forward on our submissions portal. We will look at the submissions process as a whole. We also have some exciting news around the partnership with Box Office and lots of information regarding music and co-productions. And yes, all of these things are important, but it's particularly crucial for us to connect with you, our partners, during this unusual time of social and physical distancing. So, you know, we've invited questions from you, our partners, via email at the start of September. We've gone through all of those questions. And what we've done is we've attempted to address the most pressing ones in every single presentation. But in case we've missed anything at all, we will provide you with another email address at the end of today's webinar. And then you can submit your questions to us and we'll try and answer that as well. But let's kick off by welcoming the Mnet CEO, Nkateko Mabaso.
Yeah, thank you very much, Kay. On behalf of the Mnet leadership team, I want to say we really appreciate you being here with us. As the biggest investor in local content across the continent, our ambition is to create the most compelling content experience that our viewers cannot live without. I'm talking about a content proposition that truly captures the hearts and minds of our audiences. As you know, this would not be possible without you, our industry partners. And that is why today is so important to us as a business. So in today's session, we'll be covering a wide range of topics, such as our commitment to supporting the local production industry. We will give you an overview of the type of content that we are looking for, which is a question that we get very frequently. We explain our commissioning process in detail. And we also get the opportunity to present some new opportunities, such as our co-productions, in which Ellen Sperling will give you a lot more detail. And then we share some exciting news around Box Office. And then I think most importantly, we answer some very important questions coming from the industry, which is yourselves. And finally, I would once again like to thank you for joining us today, and I hope you enjoy the session.
Thank you, NK, and I'll chat to you a little later again. And now that you know how much we value you as our partners, I'm going to invite Nicola van Niekerk, who is our Senior Manager for Scripted Content at the Kyknet channels, as well as Flavia Mutiti, who is a Senior Commissioning Editor at the local interest channels, to take us through some of the changes to our submissions criteria. Please bear in mind that this is covering all of the questions that you've sent to us, so it's a lot of information to get through. So Flavia, we're going to start with the submissions portal. Why is it important for Multichoice to have a regulated portal?
I mean, the submission portal is really an opportunity for industry producers to be able to submit unsolicited proposals on the portal for channel. And it's also a great space to ensure that the proposals as well as the producers are equally and fairly treated. The documentations and the submissions that go on the portal are very much protected, and the IP still retains with the producer up until the point where we commission or we contract. And the tracking number is also a great way to ensure that your concept is protected. However, keeping in mind that submissions and concepts are quite similar to the point that even the titles might be similar as well. So that's the whole point of the submission portal.
So, I mean, we've always had a process around submissions, but it's been tweaked of late. Nicola, can you take us through what that process is, highlighting some of the changes that we've made?
So the challenge that we've had with the submissions portal is the massive amount of submissions we get on a monthly basis. So we've made some changes to the timelines so that we can assess each submission strategically and fairly. So bear with me, it's a mouthful. Submissions, unsolicited submissions can be submitted at any time. However, in the genres documentary, comedy, reality and game show, we will only assess them each quarter. That means if your submissions have been submitted by the 31st of December, they will be assessed in January. If they are assessed by the 31st of March, they will be assessed in April. And then if they are submitted before the 30th of June, they will be assessed in July. And then similarly, by the 30th of September, we will look at it in October. This will really just ensure that we look at it in a much more structured manner. Then in the genre lifestyle, documentary or current affairs, we will still be assessing those monthly because of the genre. Then in terms of telenovela and soap, this is a very big genre for us. And while producers can submit in these categories at any time, we will only be assessing it twice a year. Then in terms of tenders, we do at times do open tenders. We will load information about open tenders on the submissions portal under the relevant channel. The tender information will have your timeline or the genre specifications that is required. Ultimately, we do always try to send feedback, whether it has been successful or not. But if producers haven't heard back within 90 days, they can assume that they have been unsuccessful.
So if I'm submitting to the portal and I have put my proposal together, often these are quite comprehensive proposals, but during the evaluation process, we see that there are some mistakes that are made. What are the common mistakes that producers make that we can sort of, just give them a couple of tips of things to avoid?
Look, every genre has their own specifications. So quite often people have holes in their submissions. So they forget very specific things in terms of that genre. So we'll see incomplete submissions. We very often see exact copies of international formats. As an industry, we obviously do follow international trends. So we do know exactly what sort of shows are popular internationally, and we see carbon copies of those come through. We decline that outright. We don't need an exact budget amount or an exact timeline. That is something that we will work with producers to go through.
Yeah.
And also we also quite often see is that producers don't watch the channels. So they will actually suggest something that is exactly like something we've got on there, or it doesn't suit the brand at all or the tone. So the best advice I have is to actually watch the channels and to assess whether there is a gap in that schedule and to pitch exactly to those gaps.
Okay, great. And then if once I've submitted a proposal, say for example it isn't successful, is it possible for me as a producer to get detailed feedback from channel as to why my proposal was unsuccessful?
Look, it puts the commissioning editor and a senior manager in a very precarious position whenever feedback is required. One being that oftentimes producers do see the whole feedback as a guarantee that should they submit and implement the notes, the proposal will be sort of commissioned, which is not the case. And any sort of feedback that comes from either a commissioning editor or a senior manager would be deemed as coaching, and that's also not fair for people who don't have access to those people. So unfortunately, no, we don't give feedback on unsuccessful proposals.
Okay. So the other question that always comes up as well is, If I submit my proposal to the portal, is it possible for my idea to be stolen or to be adapted and used by someone else? Can you bust that myth for us? Is it true, or what is your response to that?
Look, again, it's a very valid question because, you know, the perception does come from a point whereby concepts are very similar. Nicola just made a mention to the fact that there's a lot of international shows that are tweaked for a local sort of like setting and then resubmitted, and we find ourselves having the same concepts, sometimes even the same titles. So I understand why you know, people might think that their concepts are stolen, but that's the beauty of the portal, because you're able to be able to check and direct and see when a proposal was submitted, who it was submitted by, and then we can then take it from there. And just to our producers in the industry out there, if ever they feel that their concepts have been taken, they can always direct their complaints or their queries to protocolcomplaints@multichoice.co.za, and that will be addressed accordingly.
Okay, great. So then the other question that's come up, Nicola, is around the purchasing of airtime. Is it possible for producers to take their finished product, purchase airtime and put their content, if it's suitable, on CakeNet, Mzansi or on Mnet?
It is completely possible. However, that process is run through DStv Media Sales.
Yeah.
So producers have to please contact DStv Media Sales, who will then approach Channel to assess which slots are available and what the cost thereof is. That is not determined immediately directly by Channel.
Okay, so that segues nicely into the AFP process, which I know CakeNet has been doing for many, many years. Does CakeNet still accept AFPs, and what is the process for submitting an AFP proposal?
I think the AFP space, or advertiser-funded programming, is an incredibly exciting space, especially because, speaking on behalf of CakeNet, you know, we've got so many channels available that speaks to so many sponsors. So the AFP process is also runs through the submissions portal as an unsolicited proposal, which we look at monthly. So, for example, in the genre lifestyle, you can submit your idea. Also, if you have already spoken to a sponsor, with that sponsor's details or with the sponsors you might want to contact, the channel will then assess that against its strategy. We often get exactly the same concept. So already, you know, we have to protect our sponsors. So if we've already got exactly a show that's exactly like that with relevant sponsors, you know, that we have to really consider them and be fair to them. So the minute that we say, yes, there's definitely a gap for this, for an AFP and definitely for that sponsor, we will then contact the producer. DStv Media Sales will put together a whole sales proposal and a sales pack that will be sent to the sponsors. Just a word of caution to producers when they do submit any sort of concept as an advertiser-funded program, before they make promises to a sponsor, they have to have the airtime values from the channels, because you might be over-promising in terms of what we can give back as ROI.
Okay, great. So we're in Heritage Month. We have a lot of official languages, but one of the burning questions that come up is around what specific languages Mzansi focuses on. Is there a specific language split that you have, a focus on language? I know Nomsa is covering the market later, but can you speak about the language submissions?
Oh, the language question. So obviously our properties are predominantly Nguni, and that really is just a reflection of South Africa, whereby Nguni and Zulu speaking people predominate the population in that sense, and that is also reflective within our viewers and the market that we're in. So yes, definitely Zulu and Nguni skewed languages are the languages that we focus on. But when you look at the type of properties we have on our channels, like The Queen, Gomorrah, The River, even Isibaya, all these prominent telenovelas and some of us the dramas as well, they are very much varied in the language design, as long as Nguni is the base and as long as you're also reflective on the society that you're in. So you can't necessarily be in Limpopo having a family play down there and have a Nguni speaking family. That wouldn't be reflective and that wouldn't be accurate. So vernacular is definitely the primary focus, and just mixing it up and also being authentic to the specific world that the story takes place in.
So Flavia, what exactly should producers be packaging and submitting into the portal?
So we require a PDF pitch document, and that should detail your synopses, logline, series overview. At this point, there's no need to really submit a fully fledged budget. An estimate suffice. And moreover than that, it would be lovely to have a show reel if you want to put in some of your previous work, or perhaps a pilot if you wish. This is purely optional. However, the submission portal is so user-friendly and very detailed as to what it is that we require. So just follow those steps and ensure that you fill everything in. At this point, again, there's no need to be submitting a full script because no one will read it. However, I know from Mzansi Magic, we do love getting a first episode treatment just so we can see how your series can hook the audiences with that. But this is definitely not necessary for Mnet or GateNet submissions. So yeah, that's the full detail in terms of what the portal requires.
So that's quite a package to put together. And I know that internationally, producers do elevator pitches, 2-minute, 5-minute pitches. Is Multichoice open to doing 5-minute pitches, like elevator pitches? Is that something you'd be open to?
We are open to this, and this is something we are looking into. So just be on the lookout on the submission portal for more detail to follow regarding this.
So going from local to global, are we looking at global trends in terms of our content? I think there's a misconception that often when we develop content, it's very locally centralized. But do we look at, or does Mzansi specifically look at local trends when they commission their work?
We definitely, absolutely look at global trends when we commission work. Story is such a universal means of communicating, and one would go as far as saying the more you focus on a specific region, cultural group or entity, the more global or universal appeal it would have because you're presenting something different that's not really known. So in that sense, universal themes such as love, hate, betrayal, jealousy, all those kind of themes, everybody can relate to them regardless of where they're placed. So from a story point of view, it definitely is. I think a lot of people confuse scale and production value a lot for, you know, trend, like global trends. And because we might not necessarily have the budgets to have the big scale, it might be deemed as not an international sort of like trend, which I think is a misconception because we might not necessarily have the sort of funding that the international properties have. But in terms of story and treatment, as hyper-local as we are, we believe that our stories do travel and have a universal and a global appeal.
Awesome. So that takes me to the movie question, and this is not specifically referring to the straight-to-platform releases that Jan will touch on later, but Mzansi has its own strand of TV films. Can we still submit to those? Are those still ongoing? Is that still part of your submissions process?
Absolutely, and I'm so glad you asked me that question because there's a huge demand and a need for those films, and we are also looking for different voices to be able to produce those films for us. We sort of like play out these films every Saturday. It's family viewing. It's where the whole family comes together and they watch their treat as a family together. And so we are really looking for family-centric, feel-good films. The commission turnaround is quite quick and it's easier to sort of like penetrate the Mzansi Magic portfolio with those type of films. So we would love to receive a lot of these from our producers, and I would urge everybody to please just look into that.
Thank you, ladies. Thank you for your comprehensive overview on the submissions process. I know it was a mouthful, but we've covered most of the burning questions that have come through. I also know that this is quite important information to our partners, and it's vital for us to keep refreshing our ideas and to keep our subscribers entertained. Just a reminder to everyone that the timelines that Nicola referred to earlier is likely to be effective around the latter part of this year, specifically November. So please watch out for that. So now we've received some specific questions from our producers in the more sort of general commissioning process space, and I'll chat to NK on these concerns. So NK, let's get right into it. There are producers who believe that the same producers get commissions or get work from Multichoice. Is this at all true?
I would say it's not true. I mean, what's important to note is that over the years, we've seen a lot of great talented producers come through the system. Starting off, as producers for our low-cost movies to producing some box office blockbusters for us. So, I would say I'm really proud of the talent that we've been able to bring through the system. And I think that we're going to start to see a lot more talent come through in the next few years.
So NK, there were a couple of queries and concerns from producers around their IP. Can you talk to us a little bit about the position of Multichoice on IP?
Our view is that in instances in which we commission and fully pay for productions, in that instance we own the IP and we negotiate the rights up front. And there are many other models, like co-productions, where producers come in with partners and then they're able to negotiate their own rights and share of the IP as well.
Thank you to NK and thank you to our lovely ladies, Nicola and Flavia, for taking us through the submissions process. We've really enjoyed having you with us. So since we're still in Heritage Month, we will continue to celebrate our local content.
My grandmother used to say that we must never forget where we come from, to always remember our stories that will shape our future. Stories where we can rewrite the ending, where history becomes her story, where some tradition cannot be defied as hard as we try. Staying firmly rooted in who we are as our dreams come to life.
This is the story that must be told.
Owning our power and pride every step of the way, even though some may try to keep us down. To lift us up when we need it most and give us food for thought.
Just be who you are.
And though there may be hardship along the way, we hold our heads up high, ready to rewrite the wrongs, ready to make a difference and celebrate our heritage in our own unique way. Because great stories are about us, written for us and written by us. Great stories live forever.
The love is in here.
Enjoy the best of our homegrown stories this Heritage Month.
So we've also received a number of concerns and queries around our Mnet budget pack, which is a hot topic for our producers. So I've asked Christo Smith, who is the head of finance for General Entertainment Channels, to provide you with some feedback.
Thank you, Kay. Hi, everyone. As Kay mentioned, I'm Christo Smith, and I would like to just thank everyone that sent through really good feedback on the Mnet budget pack, as well as other queries related to our production finance function. As you might know, the Mnet budget pack has been adapted over time in an effort to cater for a wide range of business and audit requirements, as well as for the different genres, sizes, and complexity of our productions. However, we do acknowledge that in certain instances, the budget pack requirements might seem a bit onerous. So we've heard your frustrations and we're committed to resolving all your queries in a consultative and timeliest manner. On our side, we've also arranged workshops and brainstorming sessions to find the best solutions, and we'd like to share that with you once we're ready to do so. We'll set up time with you to share the feedback and to also get more of your input. So thank you once again for engaging with us, for collaborating with us, and we'll see you soon.
Thank you, Christo. So many of our producers have asked us who our audiences are, what kind of content are we looking for. So what I've done is I've asked all of our channel directors to give us some more information, and we're going to kick off with Nomso. So Nomso, you've barely been at Multichoice for 8 months. It feels like way longer in a good way. What has the transition been like at Multichoice? But then what our audience would like to know is who your audience is.
Thank you so much, Kay. Indeed, it's been 8 months, but it does feel like absolutely forever. It's been a nice transition into Multichoice, and we have quite an interesting bouquet of general entertainment. So how we fit into the scheme of things is that we really have got a representation on premium through One Magic, which primarily looks at the high-end premium, predominantly black female, aged 25 to 49. And then we also have a representation on the compact bouquet, where we have Mzansi Magic. Mzansi Magic is also predominantly black female, 58% black female, and it also is in the middle income market group. So these are the people that are really the greater part of the population in terms of our South African demographic. We also have got Mzansi Way 2, which is really your alternative mass market channel, and we also have Bioscope and the 2 channels of music.
So tell us more about the type of content that your audience likes to watch. What is the type of reality content they like to watch? What kind of scripted content do they consume?
So we've seen in the past few years that reality has really become popular with our audiences. So we have got reality that really resonates in terms of the individuals that we have featured. We also have got very formatted realities. So on the formatted realities, we're looking for stuff that has got longevity. So by way of example, if you think about OPW, Our Perfect Wedding, or Date My Family, and I'm in no way saying I'm looking for an OPW, but the point I'm making is about the format. To say once we have that format, because it does not actually sit on an individual, it actually is more inclusive in terms of families, in terms of other things. But when you then look at the other realities that we have, we go into uncomfortable spaces, you know. So if you think about Mnagwetu, right? It's one of the things that are out there, but they have not been told in that manner on television. So we're also looking for subject matters that are uncomfortable, but are actually a reflection of what is happening in society. That's really what we find that resonates with our audiences. And we also, when you look at the Way2 channel, we also have got a lot of almost intervention type of realities where people share their journeys with us. And because we know that not everybody has got access to counseling and all of that, we find that our audiences can identify with most of the stories that are being told. So from a reality point of view, we really are looking for new things that can be told differently in television.
So scripted content on Mzansi has been the backbone of the channel for the last 10 years. Your telenovelas, your dramas, they all resonate with your audience. But what is the future for scripted content on Mzansi Magic?
So for scripted content, we really want to strengthen what we already have, meaning we want those complicated stories, but you know, they must be told in a way that creates enough suspense, and we must be able to always find the conflicts, you know, whether it's love and hate, whether it's joy and tears, we always have to find the conflicts. The other thing that we're really looking into is to find inspirational stories, right? So we have a lot of moral dilemmas that we have as a society right now. So we want to go into those dark spaces and turn them around and make sure that, you know, when somebody goes dark, there is a way of them to come around instead of just, you know, portraying us as a very dark nation. So we are looking for a mix. Yes, dramatize the things, but show us the reality of what is in the society.
So that's really exciting, but you don't just do reality or scripted content on your channel, you also do music programming.
Yes. So one of our big responsibilities is really to expose the young artists that are coming through, and I'm going to hand over to David to speak to the two music channels.
Submitting music to our channels really does seem daunting, but that's because we have to maintain particularly high standards for both the submission process itself and for the content that we play out. The music submission process is relatively simple, but we do have to have checks and balances at each stage just to ensure compliance within the highest standards. So these are the steps for you to submit your music video to Mnet. I'll start by saying that the easiest way is to submit content by emailing the YouTube link to one of our music specialists. That is Gabriela Abramser and Tando Mbata. This is for both Channel O and Mzansi Magic Music. So once the music specialists receive your YouTube link, they then distribute it to the music team or committee, and then we internally review it and do a quick QC check. And sometimes this takes about a week or bi-weekly, depending on the team's availability and the volume of submissions. The content needs to be shortlisted by at least 3 members of the music committee before it will be considered for broadcast. The team then assesses it in terms of suitability for consumption by the channel's audience and whether it fits in the channel strategy or not. Feedback takes anything from a week to a month, but we are currently in the process to standardizing it to 2 weeks depending on the submission volumes. If the content is accepted, well done. Feedback is then sent to the person who submitted it, copying DFD, which is our traffic managing department, into the email. They will then supply you with further instructions to have the content uploaded onto our Aspera system in the required format. So, very important, only content that is successfully uploaded will be considered for playlisting. However, if the content is rejected, the supplier also receives feedback, and we try to make it as detailed as possible, and we'll send that via email. Videos are most commonly rejected because of either one, it doesn't meet the necessary technical requirements, or have sufficient high production value. Secondly, the song itself isn't competitive enough in the slot against competing songs in the genre. I'll give you an example. If we have an Amapiano music block, which is 1 hour, your video needs to be competitive enough within that same genre of videos
that will playlist in that hour. Bear in mind, an hour of a music blog consists of about 8 to 10 music videos, and your music video needs to be better than those for it to compete. Channel O is a commercial top 40 hits channel. We do have areas though in the block where we do cater to new talent, try break new music, and music videos. I want to talk about Crispy Fresh a little bit, and that's because Crispy Fresh is the hottest music blog on music television in South Africa, and a lot of artists and musicians and record companies fight for the slot. For you to have your music video on Channel O, you have to give it to us as an exclusive within 2 weeks of dropping it. And then we also look at how it's doing on the Rams chart, if you're a popular artist, a well-known artist, an A-list artist, or if the streets just love your music video, whether you're known or not, and we cannot fight a good song, as we all know. It'll be on there and have a bit of digital support. Thank you so much, everybody. I really hope this clarifies our processes and gives you some guidance in terms of what we are looking for. Remember, Channel O wants your music videos. We want to help, and we understand the processes can be daunting, as mentioned, but let us know, because we support music, we support the artists. It's been a tough year for everybody. It's music over everything.
There's always a story behind the music.
But whenever sometimes people want to push you. Be strong. Then say, I am here to do what God has asked me to do.
Uncover it with iconic hosts Stone Siete and Unati.
Mr. Ismail Murabi is bonito.
Watch your most loved artists play back their musical milestones.
We knew that by using the music, we can conquer.
There'll be real conversations and raw emotions.
My two biggest discoveries are behind bars.
Your all-time favorites are in the Mzansi Magic Music Specials, Sundays at 3 p.m. on Mzansi Magic Music, Channel 321.
Thank you, Nomsa, and our music guru, David. Up next is Karen. The Queen of Afrikaans, Karen Meyering. Thank you so much for inviting us in your home. You are the director of the KykNet channels, and we would like to know more about your audience and your bouquet, which I'm really excited about because it's expanded over the last year. Can you tell us a little bit more about that?
Thank you, Kay, and a warm welcome. And hello to all our producing partners. Yes, it's very exciting. As you know, KykNet wants to inspire and connect all Afrikaans communities with great stories and shared experiences. Therefore, it's really very exciting that our entertainment channels are now comprised of 5 channels. KykNet, KykNet en Key, KykNet Nou, KykNet Lekker and Fliknet. With KykNet Lekker added in March and Fliknet now in September. Die Groot 5. All targeting different segments of the Afrikaans market. You know, for many years, KykNet was only available in the premium market, and now with 5 channels, we are in all the DStv Afrikaans markets from access to premium. And this is truly amazing.
So what's quite unique about your bouquet of channels is that it really covers all forms of entertainment. Can you tell us a little bit more about that?
Yes, of course. KykNet invests in Afrikaans and all its speakers, offering a unique mix of Afrikaans scripted series and soaps, telenovela, a wrestling reality inspiring lifestyle, comedy, hit movies, groundbreaking documentaries, music and variety specials, action-packed magazine sports shows, and one of our USPs, independent news and insightful, informative current affairs. So we really are a one-stop shop for our viewers, which is great. Then, of course, we are always searching for new and exciting talent through our initiatives like the Silverskerm Feest and our involvement at producing Afrikaans arts festivals and the fiestas. We believe in the development of young talent, but our audiences also need to see their favorite personalities and beloved celebrities on their screens. So KykNet is a glue between communities and generations. We are our viewers' friend and part of their household.
So you've spoken a little bit about the different types of communities within the Afrikaans group that you cater for, but who specifically is your audience? What's their demographic? What's their age? What's their lifestyle like? If I was a producer, I'd like to know that. So can you elaborate on that a little bit, please?
Well, Kay, as you know, the Afrikaans audiences are very diverse. In fact, Our Afrikaans viewers are the most diverse of all, and there are more than 50 dialects in Afrikaans. Dis nogal baie. On our flagship, the Kyknet Premium channel, they skew 53% white female who fall within the higher SEMs 9 to 10, and this individual resides mainly in Gauteng and the Western Cape. They are a rooted and loyal audience who love their language and culture and wish to see their lives reflected in the content they consume. On Kyknet and Key, our audience is 51% coloured female who fall within the middle income segment, 70% SEM 5 to 8 and 30% SEM 9 to 10. They mainly reside in the Western Cape and love their language as spoken at home, and they are vested in their family and culture.
So content is king on the Afrikaans entertainment channels, but I'd like to know what kind of content you are looking for. And if you can start with your dramas, please, which I know is an institution for the Kyknet channels.
Ooh, drama. So as you say, scripted. Kyknet dramas are given content drivers. Over time, we have subtly and continuously pushed boundaries in a variety of great dramas, and we will obviously keep doing so. The most watched drama series, each in their own time, have been Getroud met Rugby, Bloedbroers, Sarah se Geheim, which was a biggie, Die Byl, Book Club, Alles Malan recently, Fynskrif, and Spoorloos. So what are we looking for? We are looking for modern dramas reflecting current, relatable, authentic, original and compelling stories that excite, create talkability and what next, you know? That thing that people want every week. That resonate with a younger skewed audience like Fynskrif, Spoorloos and Alles Malan, with younger characters that appeal to a 25 to 30 something demographic, but also has a broader universal appeal across age and gender. Commercial dramas that push traditional storytelling conventions. It needs to be heartfelt, with suspense and intrigue, with cliffhangers and action-packed themes and scenes. Then something really exciting for us is our new partnership with Showmax, which is giving us the opportunity to produce more edgy and risque content in Afrikaans for Showmax, but also for later slots on our channels. Then also just to bear in mind that we commission 12 to 18 months in advance, because we really want to get to great end results. With regards to film, on Flicknet and the Kyknet channels, we are looking at 15-minute story films. We call it story films because, you know, there's so many wonderful stories that we need to tell in our communities. We're looking at 60 contained stories for all Afrikaans-speaking viewers in any genre.
Kyknet is one of the only channels to get comedy right. I mean, your comedies are often in the top 3, like Hotel, for example. What is the secret to your comedy success?
Secret? I can't tell you. Yes, comedy is the greatest challenge because viewers' sense of story differ from their sense of humor. Viewers' taste in comedy is specific. The genre is often very divisive. We've been really fortunate in that we have been able to see new comedy writers like Benny Fourie come through the ranks and giving us hit series like you've just mentioned, Hotel. We keep searching for talented comedy writers and sitcoms that reflect current Afrikaans realities. Modern comedies that break sitcom conventions, half-hour comedy dramas, sketch comedies, and of course satire, like Die Ware Narheid for the brave.
The foundations for Kyknet was laid with reality content. Your reality content remains popular. Can you take us into what you're looking for in terms of reality for Kyknet?
Yeah, as you say, reality is extremely popular on Kyknet, and Boer Sulke Vroue was our top rating show last year and previous years. So we keep creating our own new formats like Kokkedoor and Maak My Famous. And this year we had a great success with the Quarantine channel, 2 competing Afrikaans families in 2 houses for 8 weeks, ranking in the top 5 channels on premium. That was fantastic. Going forward, we are looking more at what we call popcorn reality shows. You can Google it, it doesn't exist, but that's what we call it. 24 or 48-minute highly entertaining reality shows, not expensive big formats, but arresting reality that engage our viewers with unusual, untold stories, well told, creating talkability next to none, discovering new worlds, cultures and subcultures, interesting new personalities and characters to follow.
Kyknet is also one of the only channels to have successfully and for a very long time have done AFPs. Is AFP still the type of content you're looking for on your channel?
Absolutely. Over time, Kyknet has developed a hugely successful AFP model, generating on average 500 hours of content year on year, integrating content in programming that works for the sponsor and for the channel. The challenge is to create content that our viewers find exciting and very entertaining. In terms of the business model, we have certain slots set aside on Kyknet now, Kyknet en Key and Kyknet Lekker that could be pursued. So here is an ongoing opportunity for producers to come forward with innovative concepts for great sponsored entertainment. So Kay, as you can see, there are many opportunities on the 5 Kyknet entertainment channels for our independent producers. We are open to new, creative and innovative ideas for content as long as we create the best entertainment for all our viewers.
Thank you so much for having us here, Karen. Thank you for inviting us in your home, and we're excited to see what's going to happen on the Kyknet channels.
It's a pleasure.
Dankie, my maiden. So next we paid a visit to Jan du Plessis, who is the head of our Mnet channels. So Jan, thank you for welcoming us into your home. We really appreciate being here on your couch where all the magic happens. Tell us about Mnet and how Mnet 101 has slowly been expanding its local content over the last number of years. What has that expansion been like?
Okay, it's been a mixed bag, quite honestly, between being excited and scary at the same time. We mainly have international content on our channel, and creating local English content that can comfortably sit next to this high quality international content was always going to be a big risk. But we gingerly took this challenge on with our first reality shows, and you might recall you were there, Bachelor, Survivor, and The Voice, and these really generously paid off for us. And on the scripted side, the original series like Trackers, Still Breathing, and our recent runaway hit Inconceivable has really shown that our content is resonating with our audiences.
The question most producers you know ask is, who is the Mnet audience and what is the kind of content that they consume?
Okay, our audience is almost equally split and weighted between male and female, and is about 79% white and English speaking, with 12% colored, 8% black and 2% Indian. And I would say the real mix is sort of 35 to 50 plus. But when we develop our shows, we have the understanding that even though these demographics share the English language, they do not necessarily share the same lived experiences. So in our development process and in our casting process, we always bear this in mind. Our audience want to see themselves reflected on television. They want to see their stories in their accents, but framed within a strong, entertaining narrative and format.
So do you find that your catch-up audience skews slightly differently to your linear audience?
Yeah, Mnet's international and local content on catch-up comprise of actually the highest rated and most watched content on DSTV catch-up and the DSTV Now offering. It goes without saying that our audience is highly engaged on catch-up, so much so that we're actually taking the whole catch-up scenario into consideration when we plan our marketing campaigns.
Jan, unlike Kyknet and Mzansi, where they have full slates of schedules with local content, Mnet specifically has designated slots, correct?
Indeed. So yes, previously you remember that Sunday nights was kind of our big local night. And since we've been focused on building our Thursday night with reality and scripted content, but I am so pleased to say that we have expanded this from a Monday to a Thursday at 7 with our very first English telenovela, Legacy, which started last Monday. Therefore, our key slots are 7 with our long-running drama series Monday to Thursday, and on Thursday, on top of that, we have a 7:30 reality slot, and then at 8:30 a scripted drama slot. Last year, we also had a very first on Mnet when we did the unthinkable by replacing the Sunday night movie for 5 weeks with an international co-production, Trackers. And as you know, our partners on that show was HBO and ZDF. Trackers did incredibly well for us and actually created a possible permanent slot for all future co-productions in that slot on a Sunday. Our Thursday reality slot has to be highly entertaining reality content on par with all the other international content that we schedule. It has to resonate with our audience, and we would like returnable potential. Shows like The Bachelor and Single Wives work very well for us at the 7:30 slot, and furthermore we are actually venturing into the co-production space with original reality formats, with our first show called Wild Attraction going into production next year. This is a co-production with Cachette International and was announced at MIPCOM last year. The Thursday night scripted shows on the other side kicked off this year with a much-loved Still Breathing, and a few weeks ago we launched the wonderful Inconceivable that everyone's talking about, which is being very well received by audiences. We would like to produce consistent scripted content on our Thursday night slot, so we are looking at a variety of genres in the English language, focusing on suspense, thriller, sweeping romance, family dramas, and hopefully, if we can afford it, some action series as well. Think strong emotions, big characters, complex writing, and stories that create talkability. Our audiences are spoiled with the very best from Hollywood, and our productions need to not only live up to the standard, but remain relevant for our local audiences. Our research actually, Kay, has shown that our audience has an aversion to done and dusted stereotype shows and those copy and paste American shows that you get. Local needs to remain lacquer. Now also that Mnet is producing content for Showmax, we can expand those genres I just mentioned to include horror. And our first production for Showmax is a psychological horror called The Dam. Alex and his team is actually currently shooting in the Eastern Cape on the show, and the initial footage looks amazing. Followed by the sequel to the very successful mockumentary, Tali's Wedding Diaries, entitled Tali's Baby Diaries, which will be published on Showmax early next year.
Thank you for having us here, Jan. That nicely segues us to Jean van Zyl with Showmax. Jean van Zyl, our head of content planning for Showmax, thank you for chatting to us. So if I think about who watches an SVOD streaming service, there are different people, different ages, different backgrounds. How do you actually target your Showmax original to your specific audiences?
Thank you, Kay. Our Showmax originals are focused on 3 core audiences. Our 20 to 45-year-old vernac black middle mass, white and coloured Afrikaans, and English viewers. For the Afrikaans audience, we're looking for suspenseful crime murder dramas, as well as fantasy dramas like Spruce. And on Showmax, Afrikaans movies perform really well. So bring us your fun feature film rom-coms and adrenaline-filled action movies. Also something else we're keen on are true crime sensational shows and shock docs. For our black middle mass viewers, we know that celeb-driven reality shows work. So we welcome more of those, as well as original drama series and telenovelas, exclusive movies, and special events like stand-up comedy. For our English audience, we like psychological thrillers, psychological dramas, and naughty, spicy comedies that explore sexuality and subcultures.
Okay, so if I were a producer and I wanted to come up with content specifically for Showmax, for your Showmax originals, what are kind of the key elements or criteria that you're looking for when evaluating content?
Our Showmax original primary proposition is aimed at pushing the boundaries of traditional TV viewing. So content that's risky and edgy, or what we call after dark, exploring avenues and themes outside the norm and to encourage talkability and really unlock this sensation. So we're looking for content that's both locally relevant and globally current, so stay on top of international trends and bring them home. Also looking for complex, layered storylines and characters you love or hate and that really evokes strong emotions and reactions. Stories with multiple twists and cliffhangers that keeps you guessing and on the edge of your seat.
So suffice to say, your SVOD audience loves risque, edgy type of storytelling.
Yes, they do, but they also love fresh commercial content. So come with commercial ideas, but think outside the box.
Thank you, Jean. And Jan, I'll chat to you again in a bit. But as you know, at Mnet, we love our local stories.
I stand as one, but I bring 10,000 stories, 10,000 journeys of flesh, heartbeat, voice, breath, bloodlines running like rivers wild, vessels of DNA crisscrossing this continent. As I stand firmly in the soil of my origin, I carry the hopes of Africa in my chest and our defiant elders in my lungs. So, tell your story. Let it reverberate through the universe. Occupy new worlds. Stare down the sky and let them know that you intend to leave this world as you came, a collective kind of unconquerable. We come as one, but we stand as 10,000 stories. 10,000 journeys of flesh, heartbeat, voice, breath.
So at Mnet, you know we invest and celebrate local films. And I've asked Jan, who is as obsessed with films as I am, to tell you what we are looking for at Multichoice. Jan, you look after the local films as well, alongside Nomsa and Karen. But what are the kind of local feature films that Multichoice is looking for?
Yes, Kay, our local films always scoop both local and international awards, and notably Knuckle City last year was our Oscar entry from South Africa, and we will continue to strive for greatness. Our local slate has expanded over the last couple of years, and we are incredibly proud of what we have achieved to date, despite the challenges we all know about in our industry. It is important to Multichoice that our local film slate is reflective of our society, but also universal and resonates with global audiences. So it's really important for us that our films can start traveling. We therefore are looking for highly commercial films that either have commercial genres or appeal to a wide movie-watching audience. So romantic dramas, or comedies, thrillers, action, suspense, horror films, and even films based on South African well-known books. These are all the kind of genres that we are looking for. We are also keen to produce films that are in our local languages, as we are catering for our different clusters in their own languages, and Karen and Nomsa is very much involved in developing those slates. Our films are usually a combination of funding from ourselves, the DTI, the NFDF, the ECDC, and the KZN Film Commission. But recently we have also delved into what we call TV movies or straight-to-platform releases, which are a cluster of films that we are actually fully funding purely from the Multichoice side. These films are usually a slate of films addressing a theme or holiday or campaign, such as Christmas films or Valentine's Day films, or even horror films for October.
So tell us, Jan, what is this exciting announcement about local films and the box office platform?
Okay, the last year has come with some tremendous challenges, from funding to cash flow, all due to the COVID pandemic. We realized just how much you as producers have been stretched on every level. It's been a perfect storm in many instances, and as much as it's hard to anticipate a series of cumulative events like the ones we've experienced, we're all doing our best to ensure that we all come out even better on the other side. Release platform opportunities have been limited for films by the COVID-19 pandemic, which has affected revenue streams across the board. And as an entertainment company, we've looked long and hard at our existing platforms and delivered mechanisms for enabling the industry with getting world-class content in front of our viewers. And we believe that we're making some forward-thinking decisions which are going to benefit the industry as a whole. Our most exciting news is a proposal for a new type of partnership which sees the alternative release platform for films straight to DSTV box office, supported by our entire Multichoice business with an array of built-in marketing opportunities. Premium VOD or PVOD proved to be a successful alternative during the pandemic, with Hollywood studios releasing films directly to VOD. Yvain Gowden, who heads up DSTV box office, will take you through the granular detail, but we believe this proposal to to partner equitably with producers should be beneficial to the industry. So please welcome Elaine, and she'll explain this proposal to you in more detail.
Elaine, this is really exciting, but tell us a bit more. Why does Box Office want to partner with local films?
Okay, thank you for having me. This is so exciting. Well, in light of where we are headed towards with, the evolution of Box Office and the transactional VOD platform, we decided to go down this route. In May, we experimented with a local feature called Griekwisstad. We tried a different model and pricing point, and it proved to be quite successful. It was not without its challenges, as we have them all the time, but we took those learnings and applied them to this model. We adjusted our price point slightly higher for the first window of this movie, bringing it at 45 Rand for the cinematic release. And of course, this is phased into the different windows.
Elaine, you're mentioning windows and phasing during the model. So can you explain to us, how does the window phasing of the Box Office model work?
So with us now introducing the cinema premiere, so month 1 will be the cinema premiere. So month 1 we release the film cinematically and run this for 4 to 6 weeks. This can be expanded or lessened based on how the film is performing. The waterfall, which includes the producers and investors, receives 70% of the profit and 30% goes to the platform. Then month 2 to 3 is the traditional transactional VOD period, where the split of the profit is 60 to 40% going to the platform. Thereafter, we have a blackout period in month 4 to 6, and it goes to the channels or to Showmax.
What is a blackout period, and why is it important to cool off the film for 2 months before it moves to its next window?
A blackout period or cooling down period allows for the exclusivity to the platform and strengthens the offering to the subscriber. Previously, subscribers would wait a year for a film after a traditional cinema release, but now it's reduced to only 7 months.
So most people don't know that Box Office is also an online streaming service where you can download your rentals, but there have been challenges from the technological front. What are the developments there, and how are you progressing?
Correct. The online platform needed a major technological boost, so it's under development to strengthen the speed and quality of the streaming service, and we will keep you up to date once it's ready.
So we know that the secret sauce to releasing films is marketing and driving awareness. What kind of marketing support are you offering producers who partner with you on their films?
Absolutely. None of this will work without a solid marketing plan. So we've worked with the marketing managers across the local clusters to create a specific marketing plan for these releases that will drive awareness, rentals, tune-in, and ultimately brand equity. This is part and parcel of the deal that we will sign with the producers.
Well, thank you, Elaine. This is really exciting. I know that our film producers will be scrambling to make appointments with you so that they can discuss the release of their local films. Thank you, Jan and Elaine, and we look forward to partnering with you, our producers, on your local films. Now, joining us now is the head of local productions, Alan Sperling for Multichoice, who will unpack co-productions in a bit more detail.
Thank you, guys. For Multichoice to consider a co-production, it must have a home on one of our main channels or platforms. And it must be shot at least partly in Africa, because we are all about African storytelling. It must also feature some local cast that can excite our local audiences and use local crew. Now, having said that, for our scripted propositions, we are looking for authentic and thrilling stories that must be shared with the world, because the co-pro business is an export business. It's about taking the stories out into the world. For those stories to resonate, we need universal stories that transcend borders and cultures, something that can resonate with international audiences and not just here with our local audiences. So stories that are not rooted in local politics or religion, that is the preference, because those tend not to travel as well. Having said that, surprise us. We do want to know from you what the next great big story we can take to the world is. So the decision on which co-productions we are doing is based on the international sales projections. It is also with the channel fits of our local channels. And there is a kind of a bonus if you are basing your story on a best-selling book already, you have a talent attached, or you have a great showrunner attached that has previously done hugely successful series. In order to get all of this money together to do co-productions, there are different contributors to it. We work with distributors around the world who put up minimum guarantees. We work with foreign networks who do either pre-sale or we do a co-production partnership with them. We also have the local DTI and other soft money that can come into it. And we have local incentives like the ECDCs who are doing a fantastic job of growing their business down in the Eastern Cape. And last but not least, Multichoice comes on board with a split between license fee for our local channels and an equity portion. That equity portion will depend on the total budget of the production. If you have a co-production for a submission, go to the submissions portal as previously explained and hit that Multichoice Studios button. We'll be happy to hear from you very soon.
Thank you for joining us, everyone. We hope that you're as excited as we are by the opportunities these new and existing models present to you. And we cannot wait to bring your fantastic African stories to our subscribers. So I know that there's been a lot of information that's been shared, but we will be sharing our presentations with you, to those who've attended today. We'll also put up the link to this recording onto our submissions portal, so please watch out for that. And you'll also be able to submit any follow-up questions that you feel we haven't covered to local film industry at multichoice.co.za. We look forward to seeing even more of your local content on our screens. Thank you and goodbye.
Multichoice is sure about incredible, world-renowned content. And that working with the right partners is absolutely paramount to making incredible content. Like border-shattering films.
Koud webstaan. Dan vlieg je even.
Life-affirming series.
I've got so much to tell you. This is not your fault.
Heart-tugging telenovelas. And reality like no other. We invite you to partner with us on this incredible journey.
Saam is daar harmonie.
As we strive to be Africa's most loved storyteller.